I want you to picture this. You're standing on the side of a road. The ground starts to shake. Not a little tremble. A deep, chest-thumping vibration. You hear it before you see it. A low, metallic growl. The clanking rhythm of steel tracks slamming against pavement. And then it appears. A 60-ton machine rolling toward you. No tires, just massive metal tracks. A rotating turret. A long barrel staring straight ahead. It looks unstoppable. But here's the strange part. How does something that heavy not sink into the ground? How does it turn without flipping over? How does that massive gunfire without launching the whole vehicle backward? It looks like a brute force machine. But here's the surprising truth. A tank is not about brute force. It's about balance, physics, and control. Today, we're uncovering how a tank works, how this armored giant moves and fires with precision, and why its design changed the course of history. To understand how a tank works, we first have to look at the problem it was built to solve. Imagine war before tanks. Soldiers on foot, horses pulling artillery, open fields filled with barbed wire and deep trenches. World War I was a nightmare of mud and machine guns. You couldn't move forward without being cut down. If you brought a truck, it got stuck in mud. If you brought cavalry, they were easy targets. If you charged, you died. Armies were trapped. They needed something that could cross mud, crush obstacles, and protect soldiers at the same time. That's where the tank was born, not as a weapon of aggression, but as a solution to being stuck. We're going to break this into 3 parts. 1. How a tank moves. 2. How a tank survives. 3. How a tank fires without destroying itself. And along the way, you'll see something surprising. A tank is less like a monster, and more like a carefully balanced machine. Let's start with the most obvious question. Why no wheels? Why those massive tracks? Here's the simple physics. Pressure equals weight divided by area. A tank is heavy, extremely heavy. If all that weight sat on 4 rubber tires, it would sink into mud instantly. Think of it like this. Walk on snow in normal shoes. You sink. Now put on snowshoes. You spread your weight over a larger area. You float. A tank's tracks are giant snowshoes made of steel. They spread the weight across a wide surface, lowering pressure on the ground. That's why a 60-ton tank can drive across mud where a pickup truck would get stuck. But that's only half the story. Tracks also grip the ground continuously. Unlike wheels, which touch in small points, tracks maintain constant contact. This gives traction. Traction means control, and control means survival. But here's a question. If tracks are so great, why don't all vehicles use them? Because tracks are expensive. They wear out faster. They're slower on roads. They burn more fuel. This is where the money angle comes in. Modern militaries must balance performance with cost. Tracks cost more to maintain than wheels. That's why many modern armored vehicles use wheels instead. Tanks keep tracks because nothing else matches their off-road power. So when you see those tracks, you're not seeing old-fashioned design. You're seeing a calculated trade-off. Maximum terrain control at maximum cost. Now let's talk about survival. A tank's job is not just to move, it's to survive being shot at. Look closely at a tank's body. Notice something strange? The armor isn't flat, it's angled. Why? Because angles deflect force. Imagine throwing a ball straight at a wall. It stops. Now throw it at an angle. It bounces off. That's what sloped armor does to incoming rounds. It increases the effective thickness and increases the chance a projectile ricochets. So instead of needing thicker steel, which means more weight, designers use geometry. Smart, right? But modern tanks don't just use steel. They use composite armor, layers, metal, ceramics, sometimes even depleted uranium. Each layer disrupts the projectile differently. Think of it like trying to punch through layers of different materials. Hard ceramic shatters the projectile. Metal absorbs impact. Spacing slows energy. It's not just armor. It's energy management. But here's another question. If tanks are so armored, why don't we just make them invincible? Because weight is the enemy. Every extra ton slows speed, increases fuel use, strains engines. And here's the economic reality. Fuel logistics in war are critical. Armies spend billions moving fuel across battlefields. A heavier tank means more fuel trucks. More trucks mean more targets. So designers constantly ask, how much protection is enough? This is engineering under pressure. Protection versus mobility versus cost. A tank is a compromise machine. Part 3. How a tank fires, the recoil mystery. Now let's answer the most dramatic question. How does a tank fire that massive cannon without flipping backward? When the main gun fires, the shell leaves at extreme speed. Newton's third law, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So why doesn't the tank jump? Here's the trick. Recoil systems. Inside the barrel assembly is a hydraulic recoil mechanism. When the gun fires, the barrel slides backward inside its housing. Hydraulic fluid absorbs and spreads out the force over time. Instead of one violent punch, it becomes a controlled push. Think of it like catching a heavy ball. If you keep your hands stiff, it hurts. If you move your hands backward as you catch it, you absorb the force. That's exactly what the tank does. The gun moves backward slightly. The recoil system stretches out the force, and the tank's massive weight stabilizes it. But there's another layer. The turret rotates independently from the body. That means the tank doesn't have to turn its entire chassis to aim. It can rotate the turret smoothly using electric or hydraulic motors. Modern tanks even have stabilization systems. So here's something wild. A modern tank can fire accurately while moving. Sensors detect motion. Computers adjust the gun in real time. It's like trying to hold a laser pointer steady while riding over bumps. Except it's firing a high-velocity shell. And here's the legal angle most people never think about. Modern military systems must follow strict international rules regarding targeting and safety systems. Advanced targeting computers reduce unintended damage. Precision isn't just about winning. It's about compliance with international law and minimizing collateral damage. So that big dumb cannon? It's guided by layers of technology. #bonus, the hidden brain. Modern tanks aren't just metal. They're computers on tracks. Thermal imaging lets crews see at night. Laser rangefinders calculate exact distances. Ballistic computers adjust for wind, temperature, and barrel wear. You don't just aim and shoot. You input data. The system calculates. It's more like launching a guided solution than pulling a trigger, which leads to a powerful realization. The tank evolved from a slow trench-crossing box into a rolling physics laboratory. #the conclusion, the new perspective. So next time you see a tank, don't just see a big armored vehicle. Don't just see a weapon. See a solution to mud. See a balance between physics and cost. See snowshoes made of steel. See angles calculated to deflect death. See hydraulics quietly absorbing explosive force. A tank isn't just brute power. It's controlled power, it's compromise, it's engineering under extreme pressure. And here's the strange twist. The most impressive part of a tank isn't that it can destroy. It's that it can move, survive, and fire, all while staying balanced. That's not chaos. That's design. If this surprised you, hit like and subscribe for more hidden stories behind everyday things. Right here on The Unsaid Simple.